the BDC is basically your first impression. If you're meeting someone right now, you want to look your best.
Hard work's always going to beat talent. I don't care who you are. Somebody's out there working harder than you. For example, over the phone.
How's it going, guys? Welcome to the BDC Blueprint, episode 4. Today we have one of the guests that you guys been wanting to have, I think. If I'm not mistaken, you guys were, we did a poll on Instagram of this person. Do you want to see them again on shorts, on reels? Some of you guys said he needs to get a haircut before he gets on camera. Some of you guys said, nah, we're good. But most of you guys, I dare to say 95% of you guys said, hey, yeah, bring him back. And today we have the managing partner, the COO, the one and only, formerly known as Bloss, currently known as Jimmy. Come on, let's go, brother.
Oh, man. NBA introduction. I love it.
He's back. Hey, first time here, man. I've been trying to get this guy on camera, and now he's finally here, suited up and everything.
Finally. Right. Great having me, man. I appreciate it.
How's everything? How was NAMAD? I know you just came from a conference with Jay.
NAMAD was awesome, man. I love interacting with our stores. You know, we talk over the phone so much and on Zoom meetings so many times that building a relationship with them in person and getting the vibe with them, you know, is super imperative for what we do every single day.
I know one of the major parts you play here is, it's good to have FaceTime with your customers, especially when we have them here close in Miami Beach. And what better place in Miami, right? It's not a coincidence that they have it in Miami Beach.
It's done intentionally.
Yeah, I know, because
super intentional.
Would you have it in Miami or would you have it in Ohio?
Come on now.
Come on.
Where'd LeBron go?
Hey, he's right. But one of the most, I think one of your roles here, one of the pivotal roles that you play here, and by the way, I think we have an assembled Avengers team here. We believe we're the best BDC, but we also have some high level people. And one of the things that you do constantly is account management, and you're kind of the point of contact with a lot of these guys. And nowadays, I believe, not only in the BDC but in the automotive space, many people can just onboard clients and make more sales, but then you kind of leave the clients to fend for themselves. And one thing that we don't do here is do that. Like, we're constantly in contact.
Absolutely.
Jason, yourself, on your side, why do you think that's so pivotal in what we do here?
Well, number one, we're in sales. Number two, this is the car industry, so it's every single day. Yesterday at some point doesn't matter once we get to the next day. So in order to build a good connection, a good team, which is the key word, it's not us or the dealership, it's not us as a third party or a vendor. We have to mesh as one team. The only way that can happen is with high level communication. At the store level, you'll have your GM communicate at a high level with his GSM, with his desk manager. Desk managers communicate with the BDC and the sales personnel on the floor, right? Well, same thing here. We're working their leads, we're setting their appointments, we're driving the traffic, influencing the closing percentage. In order to do that, we need to run like as we're at the store. The only way we can do that is with high level communication. Every single day, we got to come up with a new plan. So super imperative that we get on the phone, look at the numbers, look at the stats, come up with a plan so that we're not doing the same thing every day. We don't want to do the same thing every day. We want to do something different because more is more. So if we had a goal for 300 units, once I get you in 300 units, now you're calling me back for 350. Well, yeah. We got to get creative. We got to, get the cooking, like I like to say.
And I think, as the saying goes, if you fail to plan, you plan to fail, right?
Every single time.
And many times, again, we're in the automotive industry, and I think you see it more than anything, right, Jimmy? You're in the day-to-day, trenches with the team out here, but things are not going to go as planned all the time. You're going to have to pivot. You're going to have to make some adjustments. You're going to have to figure out a solution. And like you're saying, that constant communication, that constant day-to-day, following up and making sure that our clients are being served in the best way possible, I think kind of separates us from, I think, in my opinion, the other BDCs,
Absolutely.
Right? Was that always your role?
I think we grew into that role. When we first started as a company, we did a lot of communication from an executive standpoint. We set it up. We created our processes. We rolled the punches with our processes, made sure the store understood the processes. We mimicked theirs as well. But from there, I think we wanted to take it a step further. Think of as a coach, an NBA coach. I like to go with sports. Once you get to the NBA, you're next level. You're high level, you're a professional.
Yeah.
But does every team win? No. And even the best team is going to lose some games. So when you're in the heat of the moment, the only way you can stay afloat as a coach is to make adjustments. So while we're in the game, let's look at a dealership and us as a game. There's 4 quarters. Something's going to go wrong in that month. There's first week, second week, third week. So we got to make adjustments every week to stay afloat and stay ahead of the curve. We want to be proactive. When we first started, I feel like we were maybe a little bit more reactive.
You're playing defense.
Correct. We're playing defense. We're trying to catch up. So, yeah, we make it happen. But what if we can stay ahead of the curve every time and see it before it happens? If we see it before it happens, then we always have a measure and a strategy. And we also want to build culture. It's all about building culture. You're working every single day and you're grinding. You want to have a positive mindset. And when you're working at a dealership, right, it can get tough. It can get tough for you if you focus on the negative. You could have a rainy day, a stormy day, no customers came in. Now you didn't make any money, so you're not feeling well. But you're in communication with us. We have a game plan. We're going to try to set it up for the next day so we can still win. It doesn't matter if on Monday and on Tuesday we lost, as long as we hit the goal by Friday and Saturday. We hit that goal.
Making it up. You
got to. You can't go down. You can't lay down.
It's a minor setback for a major comeback.
Every single time.
You know, it's just like, hey, if we didn't have a good days, which bad days will come, like you're saying, it's not if, it's when, right?
It's when.
So it's like, and I think you see that more than anyone. It was like, okay, well, today was a rough day.
Correct.
It's just a reality of it, right? It's not whether we chose for it to be that way. It's just a reality of it. How important is the mindset, right? You know, because sometimes you're dealing with different personalities, with the GMs, with high executive stakeholders. How important is that mindset for someone in sales, right? To just stay afloat.
The mindset is everything. I'll say that. It starts and it finishes with your mindset. If you have a good mindset, you can accomplish whatever you want. Hard work is always going to beat talent. Going through things in life, going through everything in life, if you look back at your life from when you were a youngin', right, and you can correlate and figure out how you got through that and remember that you stuck through it. Same thing with sales. Sales, the ball's in your court every single time. You don't want to cap yourself because your mindset is capped, right? It goes back to the law of the lid. So you want to make sure that you elevate your mind as much as you can. So if you're losing, I'd rather you be delusional to tell yourself you're going to still win, and we can keep rolling the punches. I mean, you listen to Tim Grover talk, and he coached those guys like Kobe or Michael Jordan. You listen to all these guys who've made it, and you sit back and say, wow, that guy, he was a little crazy, right? But it's not crazy. It's just a determination and willpower. When there's a will, there's a way. People say that it's cliche, but it's true. If there is a will, you're going to have a way. So you got to come up every day. You got to wake up every single day with the mindset of it doesn't matter, brush it off, right? You're not injured. Maybe you got hurt. But you can still play. It's that mindset. You still got to play, and you still got to show up. You still got to have a smile on your face and got to get rocking. Because if you focus your mind on every single sale that you didn't close, every customer that walked away on the deal or the co-signer backed out, then you'll never overcome that. And your mindset will either make you have the greatest day or the worst day possible. It's all about perspective.
I tell people that all the time. It's not that I want to think positive. It's that I'm listening to so many positive stuff that when things happen, that's just the first reaction, right? And I think that's what you mean. Was that always a constant, or did it take a good amount of time? Because you've been in sales and you've been in the automotive industry for years now.
I'll say this. I was stubborn when I was young, and I was super prideful. I wanted to say a little bit egotistical at that point. Maybe I thought I knew it all. However, I did have some great leaders around me. I had some people who showed up every single day no matter what. So that was very admirable for them to show up every single day. I mean, even for my first BDC days, right? Met a guy named David back at Napleton.
Good old Napleton.
Yeah, good old Napleton. And he was a great director. Our GM at that time was Gene. And Gene showed up every single day. And this guy had everything.
Savage.
And he showed up every day. I mean, on Sundays, Gene was there. So I'm looking at the guy who has everything more than everybody at the store, and he's out working everybody at the store.
Leaders leading by example.
Leaders leading by example. There was a guy named, also great guy, love this guy, shout out to this guy. Everybody needs to look this guy up, Dawood. Mr. Dawood Mohammed. Great leader. He really opened the doors for me as far as hard work, ethic, everything at the dealership. I mean, when I first got with him, I was a little spoiled. right? From another dealership, you have a system. You're like, no, I know what I'm doing. This is the way we do it.
Yeah.
And then you meet a guy like that, Wood, super knowledgeable guy, and he's so calm, but he doesn't stop, right? So when I became a salesman and I was at his store working, that Wood looked at me one day. He said, there's not one deal we can't close, right? And he was there, the first one in the door, last one out the door. And this is a GM and an owner at the time with a dealership. And, you know, I was blessed to have people like him around me, some other leaders as well that were there in those times. I also worked for Ben as well. Ben pushed us a lot, great guy.
Which is where you met Jason.
Which is where I met Jason. And that's how me and Jason got close.
How was that interaction? Because I think you guys are very alike, but also very different in many ways.
I'll say this: we were pumping our chests, but they're real steppers. So I can say with a smile that they sat me down. I'll say that.
Yeah.
So I came in hot. I'm that guy, and then I met two guys who were really the guys, and I was like, okay, I got some more work to do. I walked in a place. You know, you come from a dealership. You're the best guy on the phones. You're the most positive guy on the phones. In other words, maybe you didn't tell the customer everything, but you kept the opportunity open. We created the opportunity every single time. We didn't fold and say, I don't want this customer, or let our emotions get the best of us. You walk in a room, and there's 20 people better than you, easy, right?
Wow.
Just walking around, smiling every single day, showing up. And that's when I realized there was another level to tap into. You're walking in a room, and you think you're that, and by the 10th hour, you're tired. And these guys are cracking another monster ready to go, screaming, ready to set more appointments, being positive to you, telling you, hey, great job, while you're looking at them doing double what you're doing. So, you know, I didn't want to fall behind. So I felt like, okay, I got to wake up earlier. These guys, I felt like they had more talent. They could get things faster. They were tech savvy. Maybe they were more articulate than I was at that time. So building with those guys, seeing Jason work every single day. Jason didn't take no days off. Dawood didn't take any days off. Gene didn't take any days off. I didn't see Ben take any days off. And these guys were the standard at that time, right? And you hang around people in the car industry a lot. You know, you hear a lot of negatives, a lot of complaints, but then you see some guys roll their sleeves up and make it happen. And for me, that was super motivating. So I had some great examples that I got to see with my own two eyes. And at some point, I just closed my eyes and decided to walk. I didn't question it. I just started walking. I said, whatever they're doing, it's working. Whatever they're doing, they're in the 5, they're in the 1%ers, you know? So I decided to just follow that line, and doors just kept opening.
That's incredible. And one thing you said is just the power of your environment, the power of context, right? And I heard a quote from Pharrell not too long ago, and he was saying, if you're a runner, you want to run faster, start running with faster people, and you'll eventually start running faster. I think that's something I got to do, man, because I'm still running a mile in like 10 minutes. No, I'm joking, probably longer. That's incredible, bro. And the fact that we're here now, we're shooting this, and we're able to talk about it. BDC, sales, BDC. I think you went back and forth, or you stayed steady for a long time. Did you ever leave the automotive industry once you got in? Because I think that's also a lot of things that you. I mean, I worked as a photographer.
Once you get in, you don't get out.
You either jump ship from a different department, right, or you come back. I ended up coming back in some sort of way here, right? But did you ever transition back and forth, or?
Once I started with BDC, I stayed in BDC for a while. I probably did BDC for like 3-4 years consecutively when I first became a BDC agent. However, opportunities kept opening, and there's this thing that dealerships do when they don't have a BDC and they have leads. They do cradle to the grave. Mm-hmm. So it was the best idea I've ever heard when I first heard about it. Right? A lot of people didn't like it, but I came from BDC. So at this point, it was hey, make your own phone calls, set your own appointments, and then go sell the car. Mm-hmm. So for me, the opportunity was major because I was so confident in setting phone calls, right, and setting appointments. Maybe I wasn't the best as a closer yet, as a sales associate, but I knew I'd get there eventually. But I just thought it was a super good opportunity for me to be able to make more money, right? And not to be shallow, but that's what we show up to work for. I mean, I thought it was the world. So I did a little bit of salesmanship. I did it for about 2 years before I found myself back in an account management role back at BDC with Central BDC. And then the sky was the limit from there.
How important do you think is the power of just cold calling and knowing how to handle customers through the phone. Because I dare to say, when you're face to face, I think is an easier interaction. But when you're on the phone, in your opinion, or correct me if I'm wrong, what is more difficult? Because you see the sales guys say, "Hey, the BDC guys have it easier." See the BDC guys say, "Hey, well, if I was on the floor, I would be killing it as well."
That guy is deflecting because in fact it's tougher. You have face-to-face pressure.
Explain that.
So, for example, over the phone, it's me on the phone, and I have a voice over the other phone. Now, this voice is a customer. We're gonna build rapport and we're gonna get close on the phone, but the same reason why we're successful working leads, right? We want to get somebody in front of the dealership. Why do we want to get somebody in front of the dealership? Because over the phone, a customer can say or act however they want to, but in front of you, they won't. Same thing goes for the sales guy.
Yeah.
You know, so you have to be super confident to stand in front of this person and look at them in the eye and say, hey, this is what's going on. This is how we want to do it, and this is what we can accomplish. So I don't know if it's easier. It's easier for some people. For me, it's the same level of difficulty depending on where you're comfortable at. Because if you're not comfortable enough to work the phones, then you're going to shy away from any objection handling or whatnot, right? And if you're not comfortable face-to-face, then you can't handle anything. There's no way to put them on hold when they're in front of your face. You don't get to put them on hold and say, hey, give me 1 second, let me get my manager. You have to stand there and navigate through that conversation or that scenario the best you can.
You got to stand on business.
You got to stand on business
once you're face to face.
Absolutely.
You don't have a chance to look at a script.
No, there's no script. You are there. You got to close them. You got to talk to them. You got to build with them. You got to look at them in the eye, and you got to be confident. People can read and smell confidence. So the people who run down to the dealership, those customers are usually somebody who's an executive outside of work, right? So they're not scared. They're coming to talk to you. Now, I'll come see you right now. Don't worry about it. They'll come right in and talk to you because that's who they are. They have a presence.
Yeah.
So you got to have a presence, and if you don't feel confident enough, then you won't have one.
But even over the phone, right, which is one of the reasons why we stand up here and we're drinking Celsius all day, because if you're standing up, there's also that source of, there's just energy that you can transfer through the phone.
All energy always will transfer. You always have to come up super energetic, especially in a place. Think about it, it's the second biggest purchase of any American buying a vehicle, right? So you want to come in here super positive, and energy does transfer. If you don't believe it, then
like if I'm sitting down, if I'm slouched up, and my legs crossed, and I'm eating McDonald's, and I'm like, hey, how's it going?
There's no energy. That's the energy you're giving,
right?
And that's how your customer will respond. However, if you come out here super proactive, hey, how you doing? Introduce yourself. Look at them in the eye and let them know that you're going to do everything in your power for them to have a great experience. That's all the customer wants from you. You give them a good experience, and the whole family's coming back.
What is an ideal partnership between a BDC and a dealership?
The ideal partnership comes from a proactive and a positive culture-based type of relationship, all right? You want to build in a way that's super cultural in the sense of positivity, game planning, and always know that we're going to hit the finish line. Every dealership's not the same. Every area is not the same.
They all think it's...
So it changes, it varies, right? So getting on the phone and identifying a problem and being solution-based is the best relationship you can have. If it's not solution-based, then we're not getting anywhere. Why? You're going to have problems. These are not robots that are calling your leads. These are not robots that are working your customers. These are human beings. As human beings, we're never perfect. No matter how perfect we want to be, we are never perfect. So there's going to be an area or a spot or a place or a time where you will fall short. There will be a problem. However, solution-based people, solution-based relationship, you're always going to get to the finish line. That way, we're always working to win. Not looking for a complaint, not looking to identify the loss. We're looking to win. A lot of people can identify problems if you can fix them. So be one of the ones that can fix them, because you can get anybody to come into any company, any dealership, any department, and they can identify 100 things wrong. But who can streamline the process?
Yeah.
So that's the relationship you want to have. And luckily for me, I'll say this, with a lot of our stores, I have super proactive BDC managers, super solution-based GMs. Their owners are all ears, and they respect the expertise. And when they come to the table is, look, however we got to draw this up to get to this It doesn't matter where we're at as long as we get to where we're going. That's the mindset.
At the end of the day, like you mentioned before, you're staying on the offensive side of things, and making sure that we're being as practical as we can.
There's never conflict because we're great at meshing teams. We're great at building with them. We've been doing this for a while now, so we understand where they're coming from. We've been at their seats before. I mean, imagine you're at a dealership and then a third-party company comes to take your work. I expect some people to even take it personal, but that's not a bad thing. You care about your work, you care about what you're doing, you're prideful when you win, you should take it a little personal. However, it's never an issue that we can't overcome because we're coming in here to build. We're not coming in here to take over your job or take over the spotlight. I don't even care if they take the spotlight. As long as the dealership wins and they're making money, then we're good to go.
Yeah, I think that's our goal here at Worldwide BDC, right? Our goal is to, if anything, just amplify what you're already doing. If you're out there and you have an amazing BDC or BDC manager or team, we're just going to come here and just add massive value to what you're currently doing, right? Where do you see the lack thereof in the BDC space right now?
I think it's training and people development. If you spend more time with your people at the dealership and empower them, it's a big job. It gets looked at as a small job, but it's essentially the engine or the transmission.
It's a frontline,
if the sales team and the desk managers are the engine, then BDC is the transmission or vice versa. So development those people, building with those people, teaching them, encouraging them, is what the lack of for me. When I go to a dealership, sometimes you have great personnel. I work with them. Again, Jason came up with this great idea a long time ago, and he was like, hey, I don't have to take over everybody's dealership. I can also be an addition, right? We can work with you. We're not afraid to work with you. And it's because we found out that they also have great people. You cannot replace these people. Human beings, you can't replace one. So when you find a gem, and I find a lot at every dealership that we go to, then sometimes it's people development, and it's not like it's somebody's fault or one person didn't do their job. It's just how the system or how it's set up per se, right? But BDC is a big job. It happens to be a big job because if you have a good BDC department, then you always have a chance to sell a car.
And it's insane because, I mean, I look at Andy Elliott, right? He has these, we're doing content, I do marketing here, and John and myself, we'll go through videos, and Andy Elliott's always doing these test phone calls to dealerships, and he gets really pissed because some of these guys, again, like you're saying, there's lack of training in these dealerships. They'll pick up the phone, they'll put them on hold for like 10 seconds, and they'll be like, hey, I don't know if I can help you right now, but it's a reality of it. But why is that, right? Why is that? Because if you really think about it, the BDC is basically your first impression. Like if I'm meeting you for the first time, if you're meeting someone right now, you want to look your best, right? Imagine calling in and then having the least trained person answering the phone, and not caring. Like, why is that, or why has that been the landscape?
I don't, I give them a little grace. Everybody hasn't been trained by a Dawood or a Ben or a Jason, so. I want to say, and I'll say this in the most humblest way possible. Without some of the leadership that I've had around me, I could have been one of those guys too at the dealership. It's a lack of knowing. If you don't know something can be better, then you won't do it better.
Ignorance is bliss, as they say.
So sometimes when some of these BDC people or desk managers or GSMs, they have great ideas. They're thinking, hey, maybe we can go about it this way. And a lot of times when I speak to them, they're just like, how do I put this idea together? Like, how do I make it work? And like I said, we've been lucky to they've been trained by some killers. We have some great examples to follow. And it's easy to reach one, teach one. So we go around teaching, we share the knowledge. Everybody should have the knowledge. And it comes down to culture, right? What kind of culture do you have in your store? Is there an accountability culture? If there's an accountability culture, then that includes your manager's training or making sure that everybody's trained has all the tools to do the job. So sometimes there's just lack of direction. There could be lack of accountability. But for the most part, sometimes it's lack of knowing how to set something up, how to make it work, how to talk to the customer, or maybe it's a leadership thing, right? But like I said, we surround ourselves with so many people. We listening so many people.
Which is why I believe we're successful.
Correct. Andy Elliott speaks, hey, we know a lot too, right? We know a lot.
Yeah.
I can sit there and argue with the guy, you know me, I can sit there and argue with anybody, right? But at the end of the day, I also want to learn what he has so I can add it to my scope, right? He knows something, obviously, right? This guy is major. And he speaks confidently because he can back up what he's saying, right? So that comes from knowledge. He also had to sit down and listen to somebody else. So me watching the leaders and the smartest guys in the room take notes, I mimic the same thing. I'm taking notes as well. Jason's taking notes. Morgan's taking notes. And you can put us in a room. You see how we act. We think we know it all sometimes. So you just got to sit back and learn. It's a learning curve that's missing.
And it's not saying comfortable, right? It's like growth and comfort can never coexist.
Ever.
You're either good with you are, whether it's you're getting the money or you're either striving for growth and trying to figure that out, right? For me, the question, I mean, even coming into the BDC world and realizing how important it is, right? Like, you can't complain about what you allow.
I'll say this. In the car industry, you know how they say you learn something new every day? You learn something new every day. I swear to God. Like, it's on-the-job training every single day. So I can be in dealer relations or I can be setting up a dealership, or I can be game planning for a strategy or how we're going to attack or workflow this store. Yeah. At the end of the day, we're teaching all day and we're also learning all day. Yeah. So I'm learning from my stores. I'm learning their areas. I'm learning their customer base, right? My agents are learning from me in every single point when we're talking. Yeah. You're teaching every single day. The day you get tired of teaching is the day you got, or learning is the day you got tired of winning, pretty much. There's no way you can't teach and learn every day. So you got to keep drinking water so you can keep pouring water every single day. Everybody has to do that. The faster everybody just gets accustomed to learning and teaching every day, then the wheel keeps moving. You can't stop. If you stop, you fall behind.
Hey, I appreciate you, Jimmy. Thank you for even, joining us today. You guys wanted him on the pod. You got him. Is there anything else that you would want to add? I like to ask this question. Any last takeaway that you would probably give to yourself, or maybe someone out there that's young, that's trying to get into sales, or maybe is having a roadblock right now in their career in the automotive industry?
For me, I live by one thing always, and this is preaching to myself in the choir. It doesn't matter. We tend to worry about tomorrow a lot, and the next day and the next day and the next day. But like I always tell people, it does not matter where you're at as long as you know where you're going. If you know where you're going, it does not matter where you're at. It is temporary. This is seasonal. So remembering that everything is seasonal, remembering that God's in control, also believing that, and then going after what you pray for, you'll be good to go. You just got to put in the work. Hard work's always going to beat talent. I don't care who you are or who you think what you did. Somebody's out there working harder than you. Yeah. So when you remember that, stay humble from a place of you can always do more, not like you did everything you could. There was something else you could have did better. So when you look at everything from that perspective, you can always keep going. And I love telling my agents this because, they're sitting at a desk and they're like, hey, how do you grow? It's funny they asked that. We all sat at that same desk and pounded the phones. And Jason speaks to this a lot. We didn't know where we were going. We just knew, not that we didn't know where we were going. We knew we were going to win. But as far as the opportunity, the actual opportunity opening, we went from here to there to there. We just knew we were going to be in a winning stage at some point. Do we know the stage? The stage didn't matter. As long as it had a winning ribbon on it, we were good to go. So that's all I can tell people. You got to do this every day. This is not a 1 week, 1 year. You just got to wake up every day, put your best foot forward, and you'll be good.
And take it day by day. Hey, a pleasure, man.
For sure, man.
You, brother.